Hey guys, what's up? Wasted all my memes. Been a while since I made a video. I've been away. It's been a kind of a shitty year. Hope y'all know how it is. I had to kind of cut short all the video stuff that I was doing back in Affliction League of PoE. So I'm sorry about that for the few people, the few people who were interested. Sorry guys. But back blasting a little bit, playing some PoE 2. I was figuring I was just like kind of ramble about some early access stuff, talk about some video plans, and go over my character real quick. I got some footage of the character that I'll overlay. Yeah, I just wanted to get this out before the patch is announced because I just feel like it's important. With PoE and PoE two change so rapidly that I just wanted to like have my stuff sort of archived so I remember what the game was like at this time. Um, so yeah, I have a Titan that's level 92, and this is my level 90 Blood Mage. I'm not going to talk about the Titan too much because I feel like the consensus across the internet is pretty strong that um, the mace skills are very underwhelming, and uh, the health and armor side of gameplay, the left side of the tree is pretty weak defensively. I think everybody knows all this. This is well understood. That being said, like, I made the Titan that I was playing was fairly tanky. I didn't have like as many of issues as maybe some other people have had with being durable on a warrior, but I definitely didn't find it to be straightforward, and you're definitely like demanded to scale like so many defensive layers. Like, you need your block, you need your max resist, you need chaos resist cap, you need a ton of life recovery. It's just different. And then you play a the witch. I play the witch, for example, and I'm just like, oh, I can kind of just do whatever I want and kill everything. It's very interesting. Um, very interesting. I think a lot of that might be the game's got WASD now, so a lot of the monsters are expecting you to kite. And when the warrior doesn't have, an easy, solid defensive base, and all the monsters are super fast and get on top of you really easily, it can feel difficult. But yeah, I said I wasn't going to talk about it too much, but that's my 2 cents on the mace skills. At least I'm not going to say melee because I think that the monk, from what I've seen of the monk, is like absolutely just crushing it. The quarterstaff skills seem really fast and responsive and interesting, and I think that the mace skills will get buffed, and I think that sword and axe are going to really have a different, sword and axe and spear are going to really have a different feel as melee skills. That's my expectation. So mostly I've just been farming like Trial of the Sekimas and some mapping, trying to do some bosses. I'm not a huge fan of the Atlas system where there's not a boss in every map, because a lot of times when I'm like kind of theory crafting or like putting a build together, I'm trying to test my boss DPS, and it's just kind of annoying to have to farm 3 maps to test boss DPS. But I'll play some footage of the character clearing maps and stuff and all that. Go over the tree. So this is not, I didn't copy anybody, which means this build probably sucks. Like, I'm not a good, like, I'm self-aware, I'm not out here thinking that I'm using every point as well as someone else would. I wanted to achieve a concept of this character. I'm going to go over how I did it, and if you could do it a better way, or if you know a way that I could do it better, please let me know. I'm going to go over why I made all the decisions I did, because I guess I want to explain myself. First thing right away is just ignore my anointment. This was a test. It didn't work. I think the best anointment for this build is probably just the flat crit multi over here, in my mind. I mean, maybe there's something else that's like really huge, but big number go burr in my head. So the concept of the character is we're using Itziria's Acuity, 100% critical hit chance on all spells using Sunder the Flesh, and a ton of critical hit chance on the tree and on gear. And then Blood Magic to dodge all mana, so we don't need mana on anything. So we're instantly leeching on every spell cast and picking up the blood globs and whatnot, and it feels pretty good. Obviously, when you're using your life as a resource and resource costs are this high, you have to be careful when you're mapping, and you have to make sure that you're hitting enemies with your spells. I'll show the footage, and as well as go over like why I picked the specific skills I did to play this way. I know Archmage is kind of in at the moment, but I just wanted to do something different. And while I was leveling, I found the mana cost to be so annoying for every skill that I was like, oh, maybe I just want to path a blood magic tree and try and make this work. So yeah, I'll probably play some footage of the build doing different things. I feel like the damage is good. It's super inexpensive build. I've spent like all these items were bought with exalts. The exception being this neck that I slammed in Alk on a normal base and just got this neck. This neck is probably really expensive. I haven't looked on trade because I wasn't, even thinking about it. But to be honest, it's a lot more damage. But if you have a Bloodstone amulet with percent life and a higher max life roll, honestly, it's a little more comfortable for mapping. The +3 to all spell levels makes the resource costs kind of insane, and you really have to be hitting enough enemies, and you need these increased effective leech nodes. We don't care about the slower leech because all our leech is instant, right? So these are no downside here, but we've got to scale this. This is the only source of leech, so we get 12% increased here, and then I want to say 90% increased here. I could be doing the math wrong. 45 plus 30 is 80% increase here. Okay, so we have 92% increased effectiveness of this 10%. So we have like 19.2% of our spell damage leeched, which is nice to have something simple in PoE where you're scaling only one number. That feels kind of good. Even my small brain can do the math to figure out how much life I'm leeching or what percentage of my spell damage I'm leeching. And then, of course, leech resistance comes in and my brain explodes and I don't know what's going on. But I haven't had too much trouble. I've only done Breach 2 as far as like pinnacle content. I don't have... I'm pretty broke currency-wise. I'd probably have to sell my amulet to fight the Arbiter. I don't know. I haven't found any citadels while mapping, and I've dropped a couple desperate alliances from the Trial of Sekimas, but really nothing else that's particularly valuable. So I don't know. I've made probably like 30 divines or something. Honestly, I'm broke, like broker than I've ever been in PoE1. That's for sure. But again, not really super focused on currency right now. Just kind of feeling out the game. But yeah, I could go into depth about every node on the tree, but essentially we're just picking up AoE, cast speed, and a whole boatload of crit chance. This wheel is only for the reduced cost of skills because it gets hard to deal with the life costs. And then these 3 points, I don't quite understand. These 3 points are really, really, really good. And I'm not sure if there's any other element like 3 points on the tree that are as strong as these when you're dealing cold damage. Like, these points are crazy. And somebody might correct me and tell me that, that these aren't that big a deal. But the difference with having heavy frost and thin ice on bosses, it's like 2x your damage. So this is like a seriously huge 3 points if you're using cold damage. I can't recommend these 3 points enough. But yeah, the rest of the tree is just crit chance, crit multi, a little bit of leech, AoE cast speed. You're just, you're achieving your the pieces, trying to put the pieces of the build together, which requires a ton of travel points, which obviously isn't efficient. Maybe somebody has a more efficient version of this. These 3 points are just for a jewel socket. This isn't like, I'm not. There's all my jewel sockets were at least 3 points away, and I just went this way. I was thinking maybe I pick up this cast speed here at some point. Because this would probably be at 12% a lot of the time, which would be pretty strong. But I don't, I'm only level 90. I don't have a ton of points, free points on the tree. Yeah, so that's the build. It works good. Definitely want to use Arctic armor when you're mapping, so that when that one little super fast monster blitzes you and hits you, it just instantly dies. That's like a huge quality of life thing. I could go over the skills real quick. So I'm using Flameblast because sustaining the life costs of a spell that's cast more rapidly is pretty impossible. Considered casting is lowering at least for my setup. I'm sure somebody's figured it out, but for my setup, like, this is like Flameblast works really well because with enough cast speed, you're only paying the channel cost for like a second. And so 800 life to clear the screen isn't that bad, and then it leaches it all back. But yeah, we have like we can go full Nova like this, and then Solar Orb increases the cast speed by a ton. So you're Novaing the whole screen very easily. So yeah, Flameblast was working well. It obviously 100% crit. It's always every time that it goes off, it's proccing cast on crit. Even on white mobs, it'll just drop comets on their corpse, which is pretty funny. I think I like the disrespect comment. It's funny. Frostwall, because it's like the best skill in the game. I don't know if Frostwall's gonna get nerfed, but it's insane how good it is. I just have some cooldown Font of Blood for some recovery when they're near me. Because when the ice walls are alive, I probably need life, basically, because if they're not blowing up instantly, I probably need life in the character. Cascade for more ice walls. Flammability, I should probably have a third support in here. I don't, honestly, it's doing its work just at 20 quality. With an increased duration and effect. It's great. It's just for bosses, really just for bosses. Solar Orb is applying fire exposure and speeding up our Flame Blast cast time. Again, more on bosses. I kind of just self-cast when I'm mapping because I don't want to press so many buttons. But yeah, on the boss, you basically throw your Ice Walls on the boss, throw the Solar Orb on the boss, and then you spam Flame Blast and Ice Wall until the boss blows up. I use Blink for running Sekimos, and I drop Arctic Armor, and then this is for mapping setup. So this is applying cold. I mean, like if you need it, like you're not trying to get melee hit. But yeah, Vitality, Cannibalism, and Cold Exposure. If something actually hits you that can survive one hit. I mean, this never really does anything. I just have it in there for the memes. And then Cast on Crit. Those, I think, the pretty standard 6-link Cast on Crit. Comet, the best skill for Cast on Crit in my mind. Impetus, Inspiration, Spell Echo, and Concentrated Effect for that extra damage on bosses. So yeah, that's the whole skill setup. You could use with the shell. You could use any skill you wanted because every spell is crit capped. So you could use lightning spells. You could use fireball. You could use whatever. I just found that Flame Blast, specifically with blood magic, is easier to maintain my life total, and it does a good amount of damage. So yeah, that's my overview. If you guys have like suggestions or like a better version of a similar setup or a better skill setup, like I'm always looking to learn stuff. I thought it would just be fun to try and make something and take it all the way to endgame. And I'm a little bit burnt out with the farming the Arbiter. I do want to fight the Arbiter with this character, but it's just man, I just like I don't really have the currency or the will to spend the currency if I get it. Like I'd figure I'd rather just update my character rather than try and fight a boss. I don't know. PoE 2 is in a weird place with bossing right now. I hope that some of that stuff gets adjusted coming up. But anyway, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you got any questions or anything, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll probably be making some more content. I don't know exactly what kind of stuff I'm going to make. There's not a build in the game right now that I really want to sink my teeth into 100%. And that's usually the sort of stuff I like making, is like one build that I play for like 200 hours. So I'll probably have to wait and see what the rest of early access looks like. But otherwise, I might just like make some more meme content or some shit like that. But I appreciate y'all watching, and I hope y'all have a happy new year and take care.